Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Crypto Hipsters Podcast, where I interview founders and co founders, entrepreneurs and artists, executives and stay at home hipsters in crypto and blockchain around the world. And I have an amazing podcast for you today. Let's get to it. And today I am joined by an amazing guest. He is a world famous photographer. His name is Peter Hurley. Peter, welcome to the show today.
Hey, Jamil. Thanks for having me. I can't even believe I'm here because I'm just a guy with a camera, but now we're talking crypto. It's so cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's cool, and I think my audience is going to love this podcast today. So let's kick things off. I usually have the same question, but I'm going to alter yours a little bit. What is your background, and what made you become a world famous photographer?
Well, it's a long but cool story, so I'll try and cut it down. I basically, I graduated from college and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like a human physiology major. I was like, I don't want to go down that road. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I grew up sailing and I was really good at it. So I trained for the Olympic Games. While I was training for the Olympic Games, I got a job modeling for Ralph Lauren because somebody said, you're good looking and they want sailors for this job, so you're going to go. And I went and I had pictures taken of me, and then my picture went global in all these magazines, and I became friends with the photographer who was Bruce Weber. And then I came to New York, and I was like, I have all these pictures. Let me try this modeling thing. I never even thought I could do it. And I stayed friends with Bruce, and then I started modeling, and then he just encouraged me to pick up a camera. I grabbed a camera, and while I was modeling, I had also dove into acting a little bit, but I sucked. I think I was a terrible actor. So, but I had gone through this actor's headshot process in New York City, and it was such a big industry, and these actors needed good headshots, and I had picked up a camera, and I was like, well, my friends are actors. Maybe I'll just start shooting them. And I was doing the actor model bartender thing, and I was like, I got to get out of this bar, but I can't make enough money because I'm not good looking enough with modeling, and I'm not talented enough with acting. So I got to stay in the bar unless I figure something else out. And I really only picked up the camera to get out of the bar and make a extra buck. And it turned into this enormous thing, and I concentrated on headshots. And then I would say now I'm the global leader in headshot photography. I run the largest group of headshot photographers called the Headshot Crew. We have 18,000 members. And one of them in particular came to me with this idea for an NFT, and that's why I'm here today.
Awesome. So what bar was that at, New York?
It was in New York. Yeah, I was bartending at Life. I'm 50 now, so I'm 51, but this was in the 90s. So Life was the hottest club in town, and I was there with, we had like 20 bartenders going at once. It was crazy. I was serving like drinks till 4 in the morning, and I was just fed up with it.
Mm-hmm. I used to go to clubs in New York in the 90s, so I was interested in hearing that. So
you probably know Life then, yeah.
Yeah, I was a Tunnel, Webster Hall, Limelight guy. So
yeah, that was just a little bit after. Like, actually, Tunnel was right around. I think it was. I think all those came a little bit after Life. Life was on Bleecker and Thompson. I don't know if you remember it, but
I do.
Yeah.
What was so let's talk about that. Not too much about the bar. This is Irish Tech News podcast about NFTs. So let's talk about Shabangrs, right? Shabangrs is your new project. What is it all about? What's your role?
Well, I kind of delved. I was kind of looking out from the outside in on the crypto thing, and I started getting involved with it like maybe a little over a year ago, and then I have two guys that I'm really fond of that I follow, Gary Vee and Tom Bilyeu, and they started talking NFTs, and I was like, what the heck's an NFT? So, and just like everybody when we first heard it, probably, and then we found out what it was, and we were like, and then immediately as an artist and a creator, my brain goes to, okay, well, wait a minute, I've got this library of images, and I was like, well, maybe I could maybe I can make NFTs out of them. I was like, but then I'm thinking, I'm a portrait guy. Like I really value my clientele, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to take this picture. Like I'm sitting in my studio. I got a picture of Sofia Vergara sitting in front of me right now. I'm not going to take that picture and sell it, like, unless, even if I had a model release, from Sophia saying that I owned it and I could do whatever I wanted with it, I still wouldn't want to sell it as an NFT without her getting behind it, So I was like, I'm not going to go ask every one of my clients if I can get into this, use their image to sell as an NFT. So when Vadim Davidov is my partner in this thing, came to me, he said, look, there's no photographers doing a collectible. There's no collection out there. There's nothing like that. Let's get an artist. Let's create something, and you've got the community and you could build something with this, and you can have people get involved with this with you, and then build a community in this space and actually create a metaverse. And I was like, what are you talking? Really? I was like, all right. Well, I've been working with Vadim. He's one of my Headshot Crew associate photographers, and he just really dove into this space full force. And I was like, okay, well, what do we have to do? He goes, well, I got to get a team together. I got to find an artist, and I got to show you some artwork and see if you like it. So we found Sergey in the Ukraine, and Sergey showed me, like, the first thing he showed me, I was like, are you kidding me? And it's just a figure with, like, a camera on its head. But this is the coolest figure with a camera on its head that I ever saw. So I was like, I'm not one of those guys that collected, baseball cards or did anything like that all my life. But I was like, as a photographer, I was like, we collect cameras, and I have a bunch of old cameras, and they're sitting around and stuff. So when I saw this, he put a bunch of old cameras on their heads and stuff like that. I was like, these are cool, and they're unique, and I love them, and I can stand behind this. So Vadim says, well, what are we going to call them? And I was like, I don't know. I got to think about it. And then it came to me. So what happened was, I have this YouTube channel, and I put this, and I never even used it. And then I took my iPhone years ago. I don't even remember what year it was. And my YouTube channel's not that busy anyway, but I took my iPhone, and I was like, let me do a video with just one tip of what I do when I'm shooting my clients. And I called it, It's All About the Jaw. And in that video, it went viral. It's got like 5 million views. They put me on Good Morning America talking about this. It was amazing. But in that video, I show a girl where she's got like kind of a double chin, and then she pulls her chin out, and she looks gorgeous, and it's a huge difference. And I yell "Shabang." So in the video, and I guess I yelled it loud enough that everybody at that moment in the video freaks out. So now anywhere I go in the world, people just yell "Shabang" at me. And I speak for Ken. I go to all these photo conferences, and all the photographers yell "Shabang." I got sick of saying "Shabang," but my marketing guy was like, you can't. You're stuck with it now. You got to say it. I was going down 7th Avenue on a bike, through an intersection, past a cop, and the guy yells, I'm on a bike, and the guy's like, "Shabang." I was like, I stopped. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I'm a photographer. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, stuff like that happened. So I just said to Vadim, I was like, let's call them Shabangers. That's cool. So, and I was like, get rid of the E, make it shorter. So it's Shabangers without an E at the end. And Shabang has an A, so it's SHABANGRS. And .com is our site. And, we just dropped them, and there's an early access sale going on as we speak, actually, for an hour.
Very cool. Awesome. So that's a great story. What has been and continues to be your inspiration, in your photography niche? Like, how do you envision like your future, especially since the landscape, has dramatically changed recently?
I mean, I talk about this with photography. I just feel lucky that I picked up a camera and was able to raise kids in New York City and have a studio and make it work and everything, especially even through the pandemic. You know, holding onto a studio through that was tough. And my landlord, luckily, he was a photographer and he helped me out. So that was cool. But, you know, there's only so many people I could shoot, you know, and have walk through my studio and get in front of my camera. So I coach my community and talk about multiple sources of income like crazy. So I'm like, this is so huge to be able to, you know, create an income stream for yourself that's not only relying upon, as a portrait photographer, having a human in front of my camera every day. So, you know, NFTs are a huge part of that for the photo community. So I'm kind of spearheading this and saying, let me get you guys into this and then figure out how you could potentially, you know, get your work up here. And now I'm getting inundated with emails and people asking, and my community's fired up about learning about, you know, they gotta fire up some ETH and get it going and all that stuff. So that part of it is very intriguing to me.
So let's talk about that a little bit. You know, what drives crypto adoption is, you know, the role of the community. You know, how do you see the role of the community in Shabangers, and how would you describe the identity of your community in specifically?
I mean, my community, in terms of my following online and what I've created there, you know, it's a lot of photographers. Obviously, I mean, most people follow me are photographers, but specifically portrait photographers and photographers if they are looking for adding a headshot component to their work. I mean, that's what I'm known for. But my thing is really about, you know, I've always tried to convey to every human out there that I did a TEDx talk, and I get into this, that one of my purpose, I think, on the planet has to do with making people feel better about themselves and their appearance, because I think as a society we're fault-based and we just, you know, we see our flaws. And I've never had anybody walk into my studio and go, Peter, this is your lucky day. I'm gorgeous. My hair's perfect. This skin is unbelievable. Just take my picture. It'll be easy for you. You know, everybody walks in and is like, damn, I should have gotten more sleep. I don't want to get anywhere near that camera. I got bags under my eyes. I should have lost 10 pounds. So for me, it's about education and educating people that there is beauty inside them. Let me show it to you. And a lot of people have a bad rap with that because they've either, you know, taken crappy selfies, or they don't feel good about their appearance in general. Some people don't care about their appearance as much as others. Some people really care about it and go nuts. But it's interesting how different each individual's relationship is with their appearance. So I'm digging into that and looking at facial expressions. I actually call myself a facial conveyance strategist more than anything else. I feel like more of that than a photographer. What is the person conveying to the camera when they look in it? Because what happens is the camera is like ripping a Band-Aid off. Like, most people don't know what to do. And as a model, I didn't know what to do. So I've felt exactly what these people in front of my camera are feeling. And my job is just to pull the best out of them and teach them how to be comfortable in that space, and then allow their personality to come through instead of letting the camera stifle it. And so that's what I work on every day in here. And that's the message I spread out to photographers who I speak to, you know, around the world. And I've created a couple businesses around that. One that I'm working with right now is called Headshot Booker, and it's a booking agency for companies that need standardized headshots globally. So I just had a job while I was doing my job yesterday where I shot 4 people here in New York, but at the same time I had somebody shooting in Philadelphia, somebody shooting in London, and for this huge global company. So we're doing that kind of thing, utilizing my network of photographers to get this done. And I think I'm the only game doing it right now. So these companies are finding us, and it's great because I coach all the people. So I can call a photographer actually the other guy was in Berlin, is shooting on Friday. So I have this network that I utilize to do that. So I'm kind of like trying to guide them all into this NFT crypto space, and everybody's like, kind of like you wouldn't. I'm on these Zooms and they're like, I can't get my Ethereum from Coinbase to MetaMask, and I'm like, okay, that's something I'm not. we're going to have to figure that out for you, but I can't do it right now. It's like, but that's the kind of stuff that's going on, which is kind of cool that it's all so new for everybody, you know?
Yeah, that's the area I'm good at. So
Yeah.
I'm not so good at having pictures taken of me, so we can talk about that offline. Um, let's talk about the NFTs, right? NFTs recently have been like running wild, like the ICOs were in 2017. Like they're everywhere. Um, just because we can all do an NFT or create an NFT, that doesn't mean that we should, right? How does one navigate all the noise, all the activity, all the barriers are out there, to reach the actual creators and what should be NFT use cases?
Well, I mean, there's so much craziness and hype going on right now. So where it goes and what happens with it, we really don't know right now. And I think whenever there's hype like this, people get excited, and then eventually the companies or the artists that actually have some juice remain, and the rest falls by the wayside. So I think right now it's a fun terrain just for people to get in and look around. And I think the investment that people are making into NFTs, like the people that are purchasing them, are taking a risk at especially the ones that are going. I mean, I don't understand it all, right? With the Bored Apes and the CryptoPunks and these kinds of things. But hey, it's hot right now. So there's people banging their heads against the wall that they didn't buy that thing when they could have, So who knows where it's going? And I think since it's such new terrain, the way that I've always looked at things is there's no risk, there's no reward, right? If you're not getting into something. So I think everybody knows getting in, or they should know that they're risking, like if they're spending X amount of dollars on something or ETH or whatever, there's a huge risk there, but there's also a massive reward. And if you're a creator that's putting this stuff out there, and then, I think it can be shocking, how much people value what you've created with these numbers that are happening right at this moment. Now, if that continues, hey, that's pretty impressive. And to have more control through decentralization and stuff like that for artists, I think it's cool. And global too. Like, you're not limited. I don't have to go to a company and like give them my artwork and then try and sell it in a small market. It's a global thing. And using social to get the word out there and stuff like that's cool too, I think.
So aside from the money, because blockchain's been known to be either the way you look at it, banking for the unbanked or unbanking for the banked, right? And opportunities for the disenfranchised, is a voice for the voiceless. That's not talked about enough. Is a voice for the voiceless. How do you, as an artist, help your clients with having a voice, however that looks, through their expression or however you want to see it, and how can you help them to create further opportunities through the use of entities?
I mean, I'm creating. Well, I've got two. I guess I got a couple clients. One is my photography clients, of the photographers who come to me looking for education and how to make a business out of a portrait business. And for those guys, I'm like, look, we're got to get into this space if we can create something that can thrive in this space, and you can show off your work that way. But you have to have a buyer if you're going to make an income off this and have that as one of your sources of income. For the people I photograph, it's totally different because I'm doing personal branding images for them. I actually just started. This is the craziest thing. I had a lawyer come in for pictures, and he brought all this casual stuff with him, and he's like, I'm doing pictures for my website. I was like, okay, you're a lawyer? Yeah, I'm a lawyer. And he's like, I was like, well, what are the jeans and the T-shirts and all this? What is it? He goes, well, I want to ask you, hey, once we go through the website stuff, can you do some stuff for the dating apps? And I was like, sure, game on, let's go, let's see what you got. He's like, I got recently divorced. I'm like, okay. So I started, and I shot this guy. Anyway, went out, and he was on the apps, and he posted on the apps, and he calls me, and he goes, you don't understand. He goes, I never got anything before I put your pictures, and it was like 20 times, like a full-time job now because of you. I was like, are you kidding me? He's like, no. So the next guy comes in, and, I did the same thing, and it's the same response. So I had this one client of mine, long-term client, and he's a media guy, and he came in, and he had the same response. And he's like, dude, we got to do, this is crazy. We have to do a business with this. So I'm now, using my network of photographers to start to do a business where we're concentrating on dating profiles. So my clientele, it's really about making them look good, having a good experience in front of the camera, and capturing something that they never had before. Because most people aren't in front of professional cameras, and potentially if they are, they weren't coached well, so they might have gotten a crappy picture. So they think very low. Their ability, their level of how photogenic they are to them is so low. Meanwhile, people come into me, and I'm like, no, let me show you how to do this, and then we amp them up. So whether that how that turns into that's really is the basis of why I'm a photographer and what I do. So everything I do. So how that translates into me getting into NFTs, it's just because of my ability to do that, I grew a following, and people want to find out how to do it, and I teach them. And now, since I have this following, and I'm out there, it allowed me the ability to create this thing in this new market, which is super exciting. So it's just kind of what's going on.
So dating on the blockchain, or dating profile, how would that look? Like, how? I'm just trying to think about that. I'm married. I'm out in the game, for dating, but that might be an interesting use case for the blockchain.
I wonder. Somebody would probably figure that out. That's interesting.
Yeah. So what? So that would be like differentiation. And then my question about differentiation is this: what differentiates you and other artists, and how would a hobbyist know? That you're the real deal, and other people in the NFT that are photographers are the real deal or not, as far as differentiation? Well,
I mean, and this goes without saying, because I am the only photographer I know of, at least that Vadim told me, so I'm going off of what he said, that has created a collection. So I'm the first one that's not my work. It's an artist's work that I'm standing behind, and I'm using his work as this collection of characters that we're creating this metaverse around. So I don't feel like I'm one of those talented fine art photographers that's going to have a huge explosion into this NFT thing. Now, I've talked to some. I was texting with Tyler Shields, who's a friend of mine, and he did very well when he dropped some NFTs, but he's super fine art. That's what he does. That's all he does, like getting in front of his camera. So everything is super thought out, and like he curates his work through, and has these huge shoots and everything. I have somebody walk to my door, walk in front of my camera, I take a few shots, and they leave. It's like, yeah, I'm good at what I do, but I'm not at that level of these creators. And I don't ever want to tout myself as that. However, to have the following I have in the community I have of photographers that respect me and work with me, because what I do is I have a referral program where I hire photographers and I dole out jobs to them globally. So photographers are making money off the things I've created already. So that, makes me feel like this collectible, Shabangrs deal is cool because they're getting involved because they've gotten involved with me before and been successful in other areas. So this is just something new, and like I said, it's new territory for everybody. So it's amazing for me to be doing stuff like this and talking on a podcast about this kind of stuff. I just got off another interview with Rangefinder magazine, and Popular Photography, Pop Photo, did a story on me the other day. So all about this. So for me, I'm used to having stories and being interviewed about my photography, and now it's about a collectible that I made as an NFT. I feel like a fish out of water. This is crazy, you know?
So I appreciate you taking my interview. This is good. And you know, I do audio podcasts, right? Because I'm one of those guys that doesn't feel comfortable like being in front of the camera, right? For those people who don't feel comfortable being in front of the camera, knowing that we're moving toward, the Web3 and online everything, what words of encouragement or advice would you give them, including me, to maybe get a headshot, and so especially those of us who don't feel that we're aesthetically pleasing as others?
Yeah, okay. So there's a couple things. One is you got to work with what you got. You didn't pick your parents. You fired up onto this planet looking the way you do because of them, and you had nothing to do with it. So get over it, and that's hard for people to take when I say that. But that's one thing. Second thing, you could do best with what you have. So finding the right side of your face, looking at your facial expression, seeing what you're conveying. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with the aging process, and some people feel like they're aging poorly or they're aging great. Some people are comfortable in front of the camera, some people aren't. But also, are you in shape? What kind of shape are you in your life? But I always tell people, you should have a favorite picture of yourself over the course of your life. And what is it? Like, if right now you thought in your brain, and I don't care if you're 7 years old in your father's arms or something, but whatever the picture is, I would say you kind of have a favorite picture of yourself. And then your significant people in your life want pictures of you and to see you. Like, if somebody changes their profile picture somewhere, it gets more likes than anything else they could even post. That's just the nature of it. People care more about their appearance than other people. Like the other people care about your appearance. You might be like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But that's what's going down. So I also like the Eleanor Roosevelt quote. It goes something like this. It goes, you're the oldest you've ever been and the youngest you'll ever be again. And I'm like, get that captured. Also, when people run out of burning buildings, you know what they grab? They grab pictures. I mean, this is history, You document it. It's a little morbid, but my pictures are used for obituaries all the time. And the way I look at it is I had the opportunity to capture that human being while they were on the planet, and that family or those people or whoever it was used it for that purpose. That's huge. And that's one of the reasons why I like to capture everybody that I can. And if I teach them how to look better when they're in front of cameras, I did something. So that's kind of my purpose. My purpose is really just to have people have a skip in their step from walking out from being in front of my camera with a little knowledge that they're more attractive or better looking or feel better about their appearance because they've been with me, and that's what it's about.
Awesome. Thank you. So I have one final question. I want to thank you for your time today. This has been an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed talking to you. I hope to be in your studio one day. And my last question is this: how can people find out more information about you, about Shabangrs, about what you do, and maybe get a headshot from you?
I think the best way is probably my Instagram, Peter_Hurley. Usually in my link tree, I link to everything. So you got Shabangrs, you got my headshot crew, which is my coaching program. And there you can find a photographer globally through the Find a Photographer link. So if you guys are listening and you're not in New York City and you don't have the bucks to jump into my kind of operation, because I'm like at the top of the game for this thing and I'm proud of it. But I'd be happy to photograph anybody. But I think Instagram, probably the Peter_Hurley. My website's peterhurley.com. And you can find stuff there. Shabangrs is shabangrs.com. But I think the easiest way is definitely the Peter_Hurley on Instagram.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Awesome. Jamil, thanks for having me.